Hi, Anita. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Nathan.
Hi, how are you?
Good. And did you want to introduce the session, Anita, or?
Yes. Sorry, I'm just getting my earbuds in. All right, well, welcome everyone, and thank you again to United Way Simcoe Muskoka for the sponsorship, and thank you to Alka for facilitating, and of course to Nathan for moderating, and welcome everyone for being here tonight.
Yeah, so today we're going to be, well, hopefully painting. If not, you can use markers or your pastels. And this time I'm doing some of the music on my end, so hopefully it'll all work out. I'm just giving you a heads up. What I'd like to start with is yesterday, last session, someone brought up the idea of how much stress is too much stress. And actually that got me thinking, and I think it's worth revisiting and spending a little more time on, because again, 90% of illness is due to stress. And that's one thing that I think we can have some control over in most cases, that we can make some choices and certainly take breaks from stress. I don't think it actually means that we need to be totally stress free, because that doesn't seem reasonable because of life in general. Though what's really, really important is that we take time off, that we do these brain vacations, that we take time in our week, our day, to really have low stress or zero stress. And one of the questions that when we did talk about it was, the stress itself, the amount of stress, and when is it too much stress? So one of the things that you can consider if you're going through too much stress is that you're going to have physical symptoms, you're going to have mental symptoms, behaviors, and emotional symptoms. So I'm just going to name a few of those, and we're going to allow a little bit of Q&A if people do have some questions about that. So physical symptoms of maybe too much stress, and of course, all these things are going to feel unpleasant. So if you're feeling tired, overtired consistently, maybe shaking, perhaps your body is stiff and achy. And I'm not just talking one day or half a day, I mean days on end. Perhaps you're having indigestion, and your bowels can actually have anxiety. I mean, anxiety can be anywhere in your body, or stress, if we want to call it stress. Restlessness, headaches, and so on. So basically, feeling uncomfortable physically. So you want to pursue that. And I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't consider medical intervention. However, consider the stress in your life and what you can do about it. So mentally, how a lot of stress, or maybe too much stress, would be affecting you would be negative thinking, worst case scenario, catastrophic thinking, over worrying, worrying all the time. That could be a mental signal that you're under stress. And of course, where this translates to is sleeplessness, not sleeping well. So again, that's a physical symptom. So a lot of these do overlap a little bit. Behaviors could be nail biting, impatience, so being very impatient, snappy, drinking perhaps, and or partaking in medication or recreational medication. I'm not saying that there isn't a place for it. However, maybe it's regular to calming. So thinking about that, behaviors can include crying, pacing, fidgeting. Of course, there's more, but you can kind of get an idea of it. And then emotionally, if you're feeling overstressed, is the feeling of dread, feeling overwhelmed, feeling lonely, perhaps insecure, nervous, afraid, unhappy, confused, hopeless, and defensive. So those are some emotional, I guess I want to say, fallouts or results of overstress or perhaps too much stress. And sometimes we can look at these things and, if we have a headache and we can calm that headache, then that doesn't mean that you're overstressed. It just may mean that maybe you had a stressful day, and that's different. And I think where it's worth looking at is to be consistently stressed so that you're not having breaks. And that can be problematic for your body. So again, what you want to do is think about your daily practice. What are you doing every day to best support yourself? Again, best support yourself physically, best support yourself mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So how do you do that? And what are things that you can do to feel better in those 4 areas? And if you're attracted to doing things that make you feel happy, that's going to alleviate your stress. Perhaps it's meditation, and meditation can come in many different forms. So I'm hoping that might help, and just wondering if there are any questions or any feedback.
Well, I today was feeling a little bit too much in my head because right now I'm working on some like an academic paper, so it requires me to be in my head. But I wanted to get a little bit more into the right brain or the left brain, the right brain side. So what I did is I took out some pastels and paper and just did like an abstract drawing just to sort of change how I was feeling in my body. And so I just thought I'd put that out there as, an example of something you might be able to do to when you're feeling some sort of stress, just to shift things a little bit. It can be as simple as that. And I didn't take too much time, about 15 minutes, and then I kind of forgot about what I was stressing over earlier, and I could carry on. So yeah.
Thank you. And you know what? I also wanted to say thank you to you, Anita. I mean, you're here for our second half, and I know that that you're doing that, and that's a great commitment on your part. So I do want to say thank you for that as well.
No
and
problem.
yeah. And you know what? Today, also getting ready. I'm a little nervous about controlling some of the sound today. And so I did a little bit of collage before we started. And I'm hoping that, some of the strategies that we present here are ways that you can add. And we're going to be talking too more about different ways of how to build your daily practice. And it's really what works for you. And last week I was talking to a woman, and her form of meditation was to play solitaire. And she said her mind gets lost, and it's a way for her to take a break. And you know what? It doesn't matter what language we use, as long as we're getting that mental break and having some of that ease. And it's amazing what that can do for our bodies.
So, oh,
And there's a lovely question here from an attendee.
Okay.
It is specifically, what if the thing that makes you happy is also harmful to you? So, for example, spending money on nice things for instant gratification. And how does one get out of that?
Well, that's a great question, because you want to consider, if you're going to be stressed financially, then is that really making you happy? And buying something nice doesn't really have to cost a lot of money. I mean, we can, and maybe let's word it differently, to acquiring something nice. And it could be as simple as a beautiful soap, or, perhaps a lovely, right now I'm really enjoying the flavored balsamic vinegars that are available in our town, and they're not very expensive. It's not an expensive treat. So it's really considering taking a step back. Sometimes when we have these desires, and hopefully there's more than one thing that makes you happy, and start making a list and then consider, if that is something that is fun for you, well, then maybe consider a budget. You can have some fun with that. And yeah, it doesn't have to be like lots of money. So I'm not sure then how it might be harmful, but that might be a bigger question too.
Yeah, and I'll add as well the fact that the participant is aware that it's the urge to buy something is to satisfy instant gratification. There's already awareness there, so just sort of working with that awareness, you could even, like Alka suggested, you could do a money jar and you could call it for instant gratification, right? And so if there's something like you're feeling like, oh, I want this to make myself feel better, well, put some change in the jar. And then when you have enough for it, purchase it, or write down a list of things that you'd like rather than actually immediately, satisfying that urge, because the awareness is there. And I think that's really important, because then you can perhaps shift it a little bit if you're feeling like it's doing you harm in some way by
Abs-
overspending.
Yeah, absolutely. And that could even be translated to food. So maybe there's a treat that you particularly like, and whether it's a home baked cookie. Well, one cookie is probably okay. However, 10 cookies is not okay. So kind of thinking again about what's going to serve your body the best way, and also maybe look at what is happiness for you. And in the Buddhist practice, they talk about unshakable happiness, and that's that inner core happiness that really has nothing to do with food or outside things. Is looking at what is inside, what's your inner calm, what's your harmony, what is your flow, and how do you stay grounded, and maybe going in that direction. And then these other things become um, maybe icing on the cake or something extra, I suppose, but perhaps not something that is the only thing that would make you happy. Great question.
And it might be a bit more challenging now too, because a lot of purchases are done online. So you might have to be creative in how you can sort of intercept that urge to just click away online, because um, it's different when you actually have to go into a store and go through all the motions, I think. Um, but I was just going to suggest one of the things I used to do when I used to notice I was wanting to buy things like clothes or something to make myself feel better, I would just force myself to say, okay, well, if I really need this item, um, in a week or next time, like I know where it is and I'll wait till tomorrow or next week. And oftentimes, I would realize actually that was trying to satisfy something else, that then that would go away and I wouldn't need the item. And yeah, it's sort of working with the brain, right?
And that's
Um,
a great strategy, actually, is to give yourself some time. So yeah, that's a strategy. So awesome.
And you're right, it is difficult right now, especially there's computer software that's designed literally to play on that instinct of instant gratification. So you're going to see in your shopping cart, if you buy this in the next 10 minutes, you're going to get 30% off. Well, that exists all the time, and that's just because they're smart enough to know that that little extra push over the edge is going to be hard for you to resist. So just know that they're preying on you as well. So
Yep, it's marketing, right? So, okay. Is it okay to keep going? Because we're probably going to fill the rest of the 45 minutes.
Yeah, we're clear for attendee questions. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And I'm hoping to have a little bit of time at the end. So what I'd like everybody to do is get your studio space ready, and hopefully everybody got the handout. I know I sent it to Anita late, and I apologize about that. It was a last minute add-on, and I'm just going to switch cameras here so that you can see it. No, let's see right there. And it's the talking lines. So we want to have that ready. The other thing is while we're just gathering things is make sure that your space is ready. Perhaps you're going to use markers, or if you're going to have your brushes ready and water. So you want to just make sure that that's together. And we did talk about size of paper, and I will have some demonstration for you. And if you do have a large piece of paper, that's really great. If you don't, you can actually do the exercise on several pieces of paper, or tape the pieces of paper together so that you have a larger piece. So it really isn't that important. We're not doing finished artwork. It's more to be expressive and to explore. So one of the things, and then, so this is how it'll go, is we're going to do a warm up together with the Talking Lines handout. So I'm going to do a bit of a demonstration with that. And if there's any sharing or questions, we can address that. Then what I'd like to do is a short guided meditation, just to bring ourselves into the space, because we're going to, after the meditation, is get right into the painting portion. And I'm just going to say painting. I know that if you've got markers or pastels, that's totally fine. So just know that. So what I'd like to do, and I'm going to ask perhaps Nathan, you can type this to everybody, is so the what we're painting today is hearts, however, not literally. So the saddest heart, the happiest heart, today's heart, and heart of the future. So you don't have to worry about that yet, but if Nathan can put that on the chat to everybody, if you're okay to do that, that'd be great. And then you just have it ready. So basically, we're just getting everything ready. The other thing that you may want to have ready as well is your journal. And if your journal isn't handy, a piece of paper is fine for that too. So just give us a chance for some journaling. And again, when we're ready, I will suggest the questions. However, again, it's you're free to journal as you wish. Okay, so let's look at this. I'm just going to do a little demonstration here. So yeah, great. And heart of the future, I guess. So, okay. So when you look at your talking lines, hopefully you've had a chance to print that off. So what you're going to see is a lot of different descriptions of a line. And I'm just going to demonstrate two of them, because really it's what's right for you. And you just pick any color that you want. So I'm going to do a happy line, and it's just my happy line. So it's an expressive line, whatever that might be. So, I'm thinking happy thoughts. And that's my happy line. And just know that there's no right or wrong in any of this. Oh, I picked this one. I'm going to just change my mind. So the other one I'm going to demonstrate is a strong line. I'm just going to reach over here, get my marker. So a strong line. So, and like I said, there's no right or wrong in any of this. So there's just a little demonstration. So I'm going to just give you a few minutes to fill out your lines. So I'm just going to give you about 3 more minutes. Yeah. See, I forgot to unmute. Anyways, here's some pages that have been done, and again, there's no right or wrong in any of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you some of the heart um, pages that I have, and these were done um, a while ago. And again, there's no right or wrong in any of this. And so again, they don't have to be hearts. It's just how are you interpreting this exercise? And it really is to go into these places that we've been. And then there's one more to share. And then of course, I'm going to do some of the exercise with you. This one actually is probably more representational, but okay. So again, no right or wrong. And you want to have your space ready. And your brushes. I'll have to reach for paint in a minute. Okay, so get comfortable in your place and your space. And if you didn't get the talking lines done, don't worry about that. It's something that you can always visit after or do while you're waiting. So we're going to do a short meditation. So I'd like you to sit in a balanced position, what feels right for you, and so that you feel totally supported. So if you're sitting in a chair, just notice that try to keep your spine erect, and most of that is so that your lungs aren't squished, because when we're hunched over, we're actually squeezing our lungs. So we want to just relax our shoulders so we open up our spine and open up the lungs and that air passage. And feeling that, just notice your head. So you want to balance your head on your shoulders and feel so you're not that your head isn't unbalanced in some way. Okay, and then if you want to close your eyes, you can do that, or if you want to do half eyes, whatever's comfortable for you. And probably the best too, when we do a meditation or a breathing meditation, is in this short one, is not to have anything crossed. So feet flat on the floor, and hands, they can be on your lap or perhaps on the table. However, try not to cross your limbs. Again, the whole idea is to keep that space open for breathing. Okay. So again, just gently close your eyes. And slowly noticing your breath. So as you're breathing in, thinking of the number, thinking number 1 in. Just hold the breath and then release. And noticing your body, trusting your body. So this upcoming exercise is really listening to your body, trusting your arm, your shoulders to do the painting and the movement. And it doesn't matter, maybe you're going to use both hands, both arms. Just trust that. It doesn't have to make sense to your mind, just make sense to your body. Just as you were doing these talking line exercises, what color did that feel like? What weight did that feel like? So when we go into these spaces that we want to paint, what's the color that's going to express? What are the lines, or I want to call it a mess. What mess, or what pattern, what strokes, what movement, what speed is going to fit for what you want to express. So trusting your body through watching your breath. And if you're uncertain in a certain space, come back to your breath, come back to your body. Sometimes holding our hearts, touching our hearts. Noticing, staying in our bodies. So when you're ready, at any point, you can begin and we'll have about 10 minutes. And again, don't worry if you're not done. And just begin when it feels right for you. So about 3 more minutes. And again, don't worry if you need more time. You can always take more time later at the end of our session. And you can use other pieces of paper and markers. So knowing that you have a couple more minutes, if there's anything that you need to add or change, just kind of step back and have a look. And let it express what it needs to. So gently transition, and what you can do, if you still need to paint, that's okay. We're going to take another 5 minutes for journaling. However, again, just utilize the time the best way that you need to do that for yourself. And we're just going to put on the chat the questions for the journaling. And again, they're just prompts. So what did you find difficult? What was easy? Were there any surprises? And what did you discover? So just take your time. We're going to give 5 minutes just for some journaling, and then we'll open it up for sharing. So, what was difficult? What was easy? Any surprises? And what what did you discover? So what discoveries? So another minute just to wrap up your journaling. Thinking about what you want to say. And also knowing you can journal after our session. Take as much time as you need. There's my timer, of course. Okay, so let's see here. Come back. There we go. All right, well, thank you. And so just giving a bit of time right now to open up if anybody has some questions about or even wants to share the process of their experience. We have a few minutes, we can do that.
Okay, we have an attendee that'd like to join in and speak along with us. So I'm just going to give me a second. I'll join them in.
Hi, I just wanted to share that it's really hard for me to do the art part because I'm not artistically inclined at all. So I was drawing different hearts, but it feels like a lifetime ago I used to write for fun. And so my journal just ended up being the 4 different hearts, like the definition of them. And it was, or not the definition, but what I couldn't explain in a picture. It was easier to do with words on a paper.
Great. Yeah, it's when we're offering these ideas, they're really just offerings. And I'm glad you brought up about not feeling artistic. And so it can block us. And when we were children, we were able to pick up a brush and just go with it and go with our bodies. It didn't matter. There was just the joy of mixing paint and having the paint touch the paper, and it we were more expressive. And then we get into a place of when we've got a marker in our hands or pastel or even painting it, we get this idea that we've got to have some talent or be artistic. And so maybe something to explore is, what does creativity look like for you? And it's just lovely that you went in the direction that was comfortable for you, and that's okay. It's just to try it, to be stimulated, and who knows where the journaling will go. Thank you.
And I love that because I also always thought, well, that I wasn't very artistic in terms of drawing, my ability to draw, and just releasing that idea that something's supposed to look a certain way and just kind of doing whatever I was feeling. I ended up, looking at my end results going like, wow, I did that. And, not really even realizing that I was capable of such beautiful artwork. Right. So I encourage I encourage you to just give it a try and release some of the inhibitions in terms of what things are supposed to look like at the end, right?
Right. And it's about, again, creativity and expression for sure. So, and there is beauty in that. Okay.
And actually, I want to address a comment.
Okay.
So, somebody has mentioned that they're assuming it's okay. The exercise has made them feel sad. And they're just wondering if that's like things getting out, letting things out.
Yes. And yeah, because, you were invited to do the saddest heart, the happiest heart, today's heart, and the heart of the future. And there's a lot of exploring that you can do with that. And again, it's what we have inside us, and maybe the saddest heart took up the whole page, and that's okay. One of the things of expressive arts is to be expressive, and there's a whole world of art, and actually our world and our existence that's nonverbal, and that is the arts, whether it's music, whether it's expressing as we did visually today, whether it's in writing, so many, and movement. There's so many expressions that are nonverbal, and even writing. I know we talk about it as creative if it actually is. However, it's creative in another artful, well, creative way, I suppose. And so what happens with this nonverbal is that when we express it, so we've had it inside us, and what we're doing is we're moving that expression onto the paper. And if that lingering, if it lingered, the sadness lingered, maybe it needs another painting, maybe it needs more expression to get it out. And the interesting piece of all this and is that when we do get it out of our bodies, we're not holding it inside anymore. It's shifted somehow. And maybe what happened with the sadness is that it started to open it up, and it needs more expression, and I want to call it dumping. So it's that, well, how do we get that and pour it out into the page and the paper, um, and the heart of the future sometimes carries some sadness with us. I mean, when we talk about grief, I believe that's next week, is, how we don't get over grief. How do we walk with it? How do we carry it in our hearts is really the question. So hopefully that will help express or help in some ways. And I don't know if Anita, you've got something to add to that. I know you've been doing a lot of workshops around that.
Oh, I would just, echo what you said. I agree that sometimes what needs expression will arise, and we don't even know that we're holding different emotions in our body that have just sort of been living there. And when we let go through being creative, sometimes it allows that to arise. And then, I would just say, like, don't judge it, just allow it to be. And as Elka said, maybe it needs another drawing or another painting, and just sort of allow it to move, just like a river, let it flow. I think it's a positive sign, actually, because then you can work with it and allow it to flow, because life is movement, right? So it's actually
Absolutely.
an opportunity in it.
Yes, and the operative word is movement. And one of the things with all of these is that it doesn't stay. So another word is impermanence, and that these emotions, feelings, they do flow. And Anita said it so well, is that life is movement. It's not stagnant. So just knowing that this will shift again. So hopefully that answered or helped. So just to wrap up, I see another raised hand. So
You can take a moment and let them in.
sure, and then I've got a task for people. I hear.
I'm just thinking if it's let out expressively, a little at a time, you're just more tolerant of sensation, and it can be expressed in other ways if it's tolerated in little bits like that.
Yep, we can decide how much and how far, for sure. Thank you. So for this week, and we are going to keep building up on a daily practice. So what I'm hoping is everybody, that you start thinking about And maybe what you can do is make a list for yourself, because these lists, they take time to grow. It isn't something that I'm expecting you to do in 10 minutes or even in an hour. And so if you can start, and maybe you have already, is think of ways that you can support yourself mentally, that you can support yourself physically, that you can support yourself spiritually and emotionally. And again, there's no right or wrong. And if there's things that you're already doing, that's great. You can have that in your list. However, one of the things we want to do is build our resilience. So how can we take it and enrich our lives even more? So, physically, again, thinking about how you can best support yourself. Is that something you can do by improving what you put in your mouth? Is it by doing something outside, exercise? Is it how you take care of your body? So these are just some ideas, certainly not totally complete. And emotionally, how do you stay connected? And making sure that when you do meet eyes, that you smile. Somebody told me today, I guess there's there's a few stores, of course, that are open, and she said the joy and the eyes and the laughter was so refreshing. And so how can we do that for each other? So thinking about things about, how are you going to best support yourself emotionally, spiritually, how to stay present, what is going to inspire you. So thinking about that. And then, of course, mentally, I think a lot of us, maybe the task for us is how do we limit our mental activity, and again that, and Anita was saying how she supported herself mentally by taking a break, and so that she can go be refreshed in her right mind, in her cognitive mind. So that's supporting yourself mentally, is giving yourself some breaks. So thinking about that, we're going to keep talking about it as we build up. Next week is about grief. And we've only got 3 sessions left. And just know that we are posting them. They are available. And so feel free to rewatch them, and certainly to share. So good night, everybody. And thank you so much. Pleasure.
Good night.
Yes. The heart. I know, Nathan, you're making your heart too. So
I am.
till next week.
Be well.
Yes. Good night, everybody.